Hey everybody, welcome back to the Slasher Uprising channel, the home of the slasher movie. This is going to be episode number 48 of my slasher movie archives. In this video, I will be giving my review for April Fools, released in 2007. Some secrets can kill. Okay, so getting into the plot for this one. Deanna, a young hottie, seduces Melvin, the class nerd, only to set him up for a cruel April Fool's joke. She's joined in her prank by Missy, the goody two-shoes, her boyfriend Malik, Eva, the hip-hop diva, Scoop, the jock, and Diego, the bad boy. Feeling bad for Melvin, Missy stops the taunting, but Diego presses the issue until things spiral out of control and Melvin's accidentally killed. Missy's first instinct is to call her father, a police detective, but Diego is completely against it, fearing they will all go to jail. Instead, they agree against Missy's wishes. Instead, they agree to frame the incident as a gang shooting, making a pact to forever keep it silent about the night's events. 1 year later, on April Fool's Day, each of the teens is targeted and killed in succession. Missy's father, Detective Combs, and his partner, Detective Ward, go to work on the case, trying to find out who's behind the killings and stop them before day's end, before they can take Missy's life too. Okay, so getting into my thoughts for this one. With there being a limited amount of options for April Fool's Day slasher movies to choose from, I thought I would finally give April Fools from 2007 a try. It's been in my collection for a very long time, and I had never watched it, until now. This was the perfect time, with April 1st fastly approaching. The setup for this one is very simple. It's a revenge slasher movie. As laid out in the plot description, a April Fool's Day prank goes horribly wrong when a group of popular friends take their joke too far, and the class nerd is killed. 1 year later, a killer is stalking and murdering everyone involved. So for me and anybody who watches slasher movies, this is a very familiar setup. Unfortunately, this one doesn't bring anything new or interesting to the table. I do like the idea of it taking place in an urban Chicago neighborhood. We get several transition wide shots in between scenes where we see either people walking down the street or people playing basketball on a basketball court. While I think these shots are good and helpful in showing the setting, these shots were all done in an artsy, blurry, stylistic way that might have seemed like a good idea at the time, but it hasn't aged very well. These in-between wide shots of the setting, it just looked like a blurry mess. I also wanted to mention the movie's score, and this more or less comes down to personal preference. I'm not really a fan of hip-hop or rap, but it does fit this movie's theme regardless if I'm a fan of that style of music. I did want to mention one scene in the movie that takes place at the spring jam that the school is hosting. There's some live performances at the dance. This scene goes on and on for way too long. It was a struggle for me to get through. In fact, this entire movie was a struggle for me to get through. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the characters we have in April Fools. After the opening section of the movie that sets up our revenge storyline, we follow the same characters 1 year later on April Fool's Day. We mostly follow Missy's character, and as a lead, her character is a real mixed bag. If she was truly a goody two-shoes, she could have easily warned Melvin about Deanna's deception, but of course then we wouldn't have the movie. During one scene with Missy and her friend Eva, who is referred to as the hip-hop diva in the plot description, Missy begins to bust a rhyme to Eva's enjoyment. But it was absolutely horrible.
I'm not the type to tell a joke on some real shit, I'll laugh on the side, and I'm not the type of things that go crash in the night when I rock a rhyme. Slash white, cut to the chase, my shit is serious, I'm flicking when I'm up in the place. I'm stunting, you frontin', I'm the truth, you pretending, I'm the real taste of shy with no food booths or vendor. So quit wasting time, cause you can't come with it. I break hearts while you too broke to pay attention.
We have several scenes with Missy and her father, who we know as Detective Combs, and I couldn't help but feel like Missy seemed very childish during these interactions. And I get it, she is a high school student, but at times her character seemed more like a 12-year-old kid. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I mentioned Eva. We find out that she leads a dance class. There's shots of her dancing, but the camera view is way too close to her body, and I wondered if it was to hide the fact that she couldn't really dance, or if the camera person wasn't talented enough to properly capture the shot. Take your pick. The deceptive Deanna works as a coroner's assistant. Scoop the jock is now a shell of his former self and has inherited the nickname Poop. And finally, Diego, the bad boy, threatens Missy to keep her mouth shut. If not, she might just be joining Melvin. Overall, I didn't really care for any of these characters. After the first person from the group is killed, there's a few scenes where various members of the group attempt to reconnect and catch up with each other. These scenes are short-lived because someone usually dies shortly afterwards. But overall, these characters were dull as hell. The acting wasn't good. The story has a very familiar setup, and I was perfectly fine with that. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything remotely interesting about these characters, and because of that, this movie was boring. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the most important part of a slasher movie, that is the killer and the kills. In this one, our villain is wearing dark clothes, which consist of a hoodie that mostly hides his face. There's a few scenes where the killer is wearing a mask, but we don't really get a good look at it, unfortunately. It kind of looks like it's a clear mask, but I can't really tell for sure. And then we have scenes where you can tell he's not wearing a mask at all. The ending reveal when we find out who's responsible for the murders makes sense, but it's still underwhelming. With the victim characters being so dull, it makes it really easy to root for the killer. I always do that anyway. I was hoping the killer could help make this movie fun, but sadly, the killer is as flat, dull, and almost as uninteresting as the victims. So for this one, the killer doesn't do anything to help this movie be entertaining. As far as the kills go, the movie has a decent body count with around 6 or 7 kills. The killer's weapon of choice is a really awesome looking knife, and with that, all the kills consist of stabbings. We have one person's throat getting cut. We have another kill where the killer pushes over a locker, pinning the victim's leg underneath so they can't escape. The killer approaches the downed victim, but the scene cuts away before we can see the attack. And that's my biggest issue with this entire movie. The kills are either filmed in a way where we don't really get to see anything, or the attack happens off screen. What's the point of making a slasher movie if you're not going to give the viewer a show? Seems pointless. Overall, I'm sure it's obvious I wasn't a fan of this one. I can't recommend it. As much as I don't agree with how IMDb scores slasher movies, this is one of those rare occasions I think the score is fair. The DVD only has play movie and scene selection as an option. There's no special features. However, the DVD does have movie trailers before the title menu. IMDb give April Fools a 2.9 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Remember, evil never dies, it rests a while. It watches, it waits. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the Slasher Uprising channel, the home of the slasher movie. Tune in each and every Saturday night as evil takes back the night. Be sure to comment below and let me know if you have seen April Fools, or just let me know what you think of the video. And as always, I would like to thank you all for watching.